as you can see, my weaving has now grown quite a bit. I chose to continue with the green for the triangle, and I did about 5 rows for each time I dropped a strand. Then I filled it in with the white. I came in with a thicker yarn for the stripe just to give it a different texture, and then worked my way back out. I think I mentioned this in my last video. If I was on a more professional loom and my warp strands were closer together, I wouldn't have to overlap the colors like this. I could leave them next to each other and it would have been totally fine. But since this is a handmade, homemade loom that's made out of cardboard my child took a bite out of, and they're a little further apart, I went ahead and layered them, so then just to give it a little extra support. I know I have all these little tails hanging off everywhere, and I'll show you how we're going to tuck those in later, but for now I want to teach you how to add tassels if you want to have fringe coming down at the bottom. A lot of times weavings have that, not all of them do. It's kind of a preference. Now I'm going to use this thicker yarn that I have because then I don't have to use as much. But if you're using a thinner yarn or string or something like that, you'll want more strands to like really build it up. But if you're using thick yarn or even strips of fabric you've cut up, then you don't need as many. So what I'm going to do is I want to figure out how long do I want to make my fringe. I don't want mine to be too long. Sometimes I've done that. Sometimes I've done like giant long strands, which has been fun. But I want it to be about this long. So I'm going to double that over so I know my strands need to be about this long. Okay? So I'll grab my scissors. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit longer, I think. I'm going to cut it. Now it's all just about measuring. I need a bunch of yarn that is all this length. It does not have to be perfect, so I'm just going to use the one I cut as like a measurement, go to the end, and cut. Now, I'm going to skip ahead so you don't have to sit here and watch me take the time to cut out a bunch of strands that are the same length. So give it a second and go. Okay, so I'm not using that many for this demonstration because I want to save my yarn. But normally I'd be using a lot more than this. I have nice full fringe, especially if you're doing this thinner yarn. I would have at least 10 strands for each thing. So now what you do, you're going to take a bundle. I'm going to do 3 at a time. I'll slide these to the side so I have some room. Okay, so I'm going to take my 3. And how this is going to work is you're going to be putting it over, I'll start on this side since that has a bite out of it. You're going to be putting them across and through. So you lay them across, I'm going to turn this way. You're going to lay it across these 2 strands, and then they're going to be coming around the 2 and through the middle. So it's tricky here at the end when space is getting a little tight, but especially because the yarn is so thick. Okay, whoops, I didn't get one of them. So I'm tucking it through the yarn, make sure it's the same length. Okay, so see how it comes through one, and it's going to go over the top and come through the other side too. I'm going to push and give myself some more room. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Where's the video? Okay, so it went over the tops of 2 strands through the middle, and now I'm going to leave it like this because then I'll have to block it in. Okay, so I'm going to leave it folded back towards me like this, And now I'm going to come and do the next 2 strands. So I'm going to get 3 things of yarn because I want them to be even. They're going over 2 warp strands at a time and then coming around up through the middle. I did that one a little bit better. And this side too. And voila. See, it'll be ready to go. It'll look like this, and I'm gonna pull it back. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my strands. I'll do this one, and this one, and this one. This one will be really tricky because of this side, and then I'll show you how we're gonna block it in so it stays. All right, so now all of them are on there. As you can see, if I flip it over, it's going to look like this with my little fringe ready to go. It looks really cute, like little knots of tassels. But right now, these are not going to stay very well. So I'm going to push it up one more time. And now I need to do a couple rows of just normal weaving to kind of set it in. This, you can use any color, it won't be seen. The fringe is going to cover it up. We just want to make sure we have something that's going to kind of lock it in. So I'm just going to do my normal over, under, like we started. And you don't even need to do that many. I used to be really paranoid about this, and I would do like 10 rows or so because I just didn't want anything to fall off or anything like that. And then I realized it was a waste of time, and oops. And you did not really need to do it that much. But I am going to make sure I get everything. I'm going to do probably 4. So 1, 2, here's 3. And this is kind of when a yarn needle starts becoming a little handy, because once it gets kind of tight at the bottom, it gets a little harder to use your fingers, but okay, it's the last one. I did mine pretty full. Okay, and there you have it, guys. That is how we are finishing off with tassels. I'm gonna go ahead and just come up through here. Oops, that didn't stay. Well, I'll go ahead and cut off this tail. And I will tuck it in a second. I'm gonna end the video right there, and I'll make a new video about how to take it off of the cardboard now. Because now we have this awesome weaving. I can even pull these a little bit tighter if I wanted to. I can also cut them. So a lot of times if I've done the fringe a little bit longer, I'll like maybe cut them at an angle and make like a little triangle. Sometimes I've done it where it slopes to one side. Sometimes I just leave them up straight. You can kind of trim and shape them off however you want. I love doing kind of angular ones that sometimes mirror some of the triangles I do in the weaving. But for this one, since it's so cute and little, I'm just gonna leave it straight across. And actually, I probably could trim it a little bit more. It's like giving it a haircut. Okay. All right, I can't wait to take it off the loom.